In this educational video, we're diving into the fascinating world of cultures, but not the cultural traditions or history. Here, we're talking about the different types of cultures related to the growth and breeding of plants and animals. Let's break down these terms clearly, point by point. First, let's talk about floriculture or floriculture. The meaning of this term is the cultivation of flowers. The term flori comes from flower, so whenever you see this term, think of flower farming. Floriculture involves growing flowers for gardens, decoration, and commercial use, like making perfumes or floral arrangements. For example, cultivating roses, lilies, or marigolds for sale in markets. Next up is arboriculture or arboculture. This term means the cultivation of trees and shrubs. The word arbo is related to trees. Arboriculture is the practice of growing and caring for trees and shrubs, particularly those used for landscaping or timber production. For instance, growing oak, pine, or fruit trees like apple and mango for timber or fruit. 3. We have viticulture or witiculture. The meaning of this term is the cultivation of grapes. Viti refers to vines, specifically grapevines. Viticulture is crucial for the production of grapes used in making wine, raisins, and other grape products. For example, vineyards growing grapes in regions like Napa Valley or Nashik. 4. Pisciculture, pisciculture. The breeding and rearing of fish. Pisci is related to fish. Pisciculture refers to fish farming, where fish are bred in controlled environments like tanks or ponds for food, ornamental purposes, or stocking in natural water bodies. For example, breeding tilapia or catfish in ponds. 5. Sericulture, sericulture. The cultivation of silkworms for silk production. Seri relates to silk. Sericulture involves the rearing of silkworms to produce silk, a delicate and valuable fabric. The worms are fed mulberry leaves and their cocoons are harvested for silk threads. For example, raising silkworms in Karnataka to produce Mysore silk saris. 6. Horticulture, horticulture. The cultivation of fruits, vegetables, and flowers. Horti refers to garden. Horticulture is the art and science of growing fruits, vegetables, and ornamental plants. It often involves creating controlled environments like greenhouses to grow plants in regions where the climate isn't ideal. For example, growing tomatoes, cucumbers, or orchids in greenhouses. 7. Apiculture, apiculture. The rearing of bees for honey. Api relates to bees. Apiculture is the practice of beekeeping, where bees are bred and maintained in hives to produce honey, beeswax, and other products. For example, keeping honeybee colonies in hives to produce organic honey. 8. Aviculture, aviculture. The rearing and breeding of birds. Avi is related to birds. Aviculture involves the care, breeding, and raising of birds for hobby, conservation, or commercial purposes, such as in zoos or aviaries. For example, breeding parrots or pigeons in aviaries. 9. Olericulture, olericulture. The cultivation of vegetables. Oleri refers to vegetables. Olericulture focuses on the growth and production of vegetables like leafy greens, root vegetables, and legumes. For example, growing pumpkins, cucumbers, or spinach in kitchen gardens. 10. Aquaculture or aquaculture is the breeding and farming of aquatic plants and animals. The term aqua relates to water. Aquaculture involves raising aquatic organisms such as fish, shellfish, and aquatic plants in controlled water environments for food, restoration, or commercial use. For example, farming shrimp or cultivating seaweed in coastal areas. 11. Vermiculture or wormiculture is the cultivation of earthworms. The term vermi relates to worms. Vermiculture is the practice of breeding earthworms for composting, which helps in enriching soil with nutrients, making it more fertile. For instance, using earthworms to produce compost for organic farming. 12. Animal husbandry, or animal husbandry, is the breeding and care of livestock. Animal husbandry involves the rearing of domesticated animals like cattle, goats, and poultry for products such as milk, meat, eggs, and wool. For example, raising cows for milk production on a dairy farm. 13. Mariculture, or mericulture. This refers to the cultivation of marine organisms in the ocean or other marine environments. The term mari relates to the sea. Mariculture is a branch of aquaculture, focusing on the farming of marine species like fish, shellfish, and seaweed in saltwater environments. For example, farming oysters for pearls or seaweed for food products. 14. Moriculture, or moriculture. This is the cultivation of mulberry trees. The term mori relates to mulberries. Moriculture is the practice of growing mulberry trees, primarily for feeding silkworms in sericulture. An example would be growing mulberry trees in large plantations for silk production. These terms help us understand the specialized fields in agriculture and animal husbandry. Whether it's growing flowers, breeding fish, or cultivating silk, each culture plays a crucial role in our daily lives and the economy. Moreover, there are more specialized cultures related to different aspects of agriculture, animal husbandry, and other fields. Here are some additional types. 15. Agriculture, or agriculture, is the science and practice of farming. The term agri refers to fields or soil. Agriculture involves cultivating soil, growing crops, and raising animals to produce food, fiber, medicinal plants, and other products to sustain and enhance life. For example, growing wheat, rice, or corn on farms. 16. Silviculture, or silviculture, is the cultivation of forests. The word silvi is related to forests. Silviculture focuses on the growth and management of forests for timber production, conservation, and ecological balance. An example would be managing forests to grow and harvest trees like teak, pine, or eucalyptus. 17. Agariculture, or agariculture, is the cultivation of algae. The term agar is related to algae. Agariculture involves farming algae, which are used in various industries such as food, cosmetics, and biofuels. For instance, growing spirulina or seaweed in controlled water environments for health supplements. 18. Heliculture. Well, it means the farming of snails. The term heli relates to snails. This practice involves breeding and raising snails for food, like escargot, and for other uses such as cosmetics and pharmaceuticals. A common example would be raising edible snails in controlled environments in places like France or Italy. 19. Mushroom culture refers to the cultivation of mushrooms. Essentially, it involves growing fungi, particularly edible mushrooms, for various purposes such as consumption, medicine, or as a food source. For instance, cultivating button mushrooms or shiitake mushrooms in controlled environments. 20. Pomology is the study and cultivation of fruit. The term pomo is derived from the Latin word for fruit. This field focuses on the growing, harvesting, and improving of fruit crops. A typical example would be cultivating apples, oranges, or berries in orchards. 21. Hydroponics, or hydroponics, is the cultivation of plants in water without soil. The term hydro refers to water. Hydroponics is a method of growing plants using nutrient-rich water solutions instead of soil. For example, you can grow lettuce, herbs, or tomatoes in hydroponic systems. 22. Ostrich farming, or ostrich farming, refers to the breeding and rearing of ostriches. This type of farming involves raising ostriches for their meat, feathers, and leather. For instance, ostrich farming is commonly practiced in large open enclosures in South Africa. 23. Fungiculture, or fungiculture, is the cultivation of fungi. The term fungi refers to mushrooms and other types of fungi. Fungi culture involves growing various fungi, often for food, medicine, or industrial use. A good example is growing edible mushrooms like oyster mushrooms. These additional cultures expand the scope of specialized farming and breeding practices, each contributing to various industries and the overall ecosystem. Make sure to check out the full video, and don't forget to visit our website www.phinac.com.